YouTubers, Mike Martins here with the Mike Martins channel. Guys, thanks for being part of the channel and subscribing and commenting below and being part of the discussion on what is realistically happening. Now, we've been doing this for many years now. We're going to go over that in a little bit because we kind of need to touch base on historic facts or historic numbers or historic discussion because it's kind of important because it kind of intertwines with what's happening today. So here it is, guys. Here's the article that was sent to me that I did not read on my channel. That I did not read. And I did not read it because I've been following the trend too long. And other channels, Reddit, channels that are not even up for a year with 20, 30, 40,000 subscribers, read this article and with 19 videos. But anyways, I'm going to tell you why I didn't read it because we're going to go into a little bit further here. So, Canadian real estate prices to fall by 26%. Bay Street firm warns institution. Yes, these guys are not wrong. But I did my own numbers and actually took some time and did some math. Right now in major cities, this is what I found. 41% correction in the Canadian. So we're talking about Toronto and 100 mile radius outside of Toronto. Vancouver, about 120-mile radius outside of Vancouver. There needs to be a 41% increase in those areas for it to be within average wage earners. Average, not minimum wage, average wage, what the average human or the average person in Canada has. And other, so we're talking about like east of in Canada, so we're talking about east of Kelowna, so going east of Kelowna now, all the way to, let's say, Winnipeg, you need about a 22.6% correction in other areas. 22.6 is fairly within average wage earners, okay? So I didn't read this because there should be a correction, and there has to be a correction. And what am I talking about? Well, let's go into this here. So this is kind of important. So we're going to tie this together. We tied it together a few videos ago. So this is from about, this is from about 5 years. So a lot of these videos are from, these ones are from 2016. You can go and look at it for yourself on the channel. So housing bubble, when it burst in Canada in 2016. Now, in 2016, people were already leaving the major cities in Canada, or in Vancouver, though. It started in Vancouver. Then when the foreign buyers tax went into Vancouver, half the people went to Seattle and the other half went to Toronto and ruined both of those housing markets. But housing bubble, when it burst in Canada, right? 100% loan-to-value mortgages. Let's keep going here. So this is me walking the streets, empty streets. We're going to get to my point here real soon. Empty homes in Vancouver. Housing market across Canada goes up. Canadians priced out. So this is not something I put up 3 weeks ago. This is something that was put up. So I'm referencing an article on this, okay? And this is from July 2016, okay? So this is from a whiles back. So I'm not making this up now or trying to be a hero or something. I'm not doing that. So here it is here. Housing updates, bubble gets bigger. Vancouver housing conspiracies. What were the conspiracies about? Oh, you guys are picking on Chinese investors. They're not the ones that are driving up the markets, right? Vancouver illusion, fact or fiction. What a ripoff Vancouver housing. Let's keep going here. Then we had a housing crisis protest in Vancouver. And Vancouver housing crisis, let the lawsuits begin. 15%, there you go. This is when they implemented the 15% tax on foreign buyers. Let's check the date on that. YouTubers out. And it is from September 24, 2016. And then if you look at the winter of the winter in Toronto, basically that's when everything started to take off and go nuts in 2017. Tail end of 2016, 2017. And if you look at the charts on Seattle, King County, Washington State, you start to see the markets go to Seattle and King County and all those other areas went to number one in America of like the most sold, most expensive, and all that stuff, right? So that's when the foreign buyers tax is put in, right? Canadian favor foreign home investors. Vancouver, London in a housing bubble. So that's London, England. Will it crash? Vancouver housing crisis. So there it is, me talking about it. So we've been talking about the crash for too long. Vancouver housing crisis, what a mess. Now, it gets really interesting. Investors fleeing Toronto and Seattle. Look at that, investors fleeing to Toronto and Seattle. And what is this about? This is, again, if you follow and connect the dots, this goes back again to the article I read here or discussed. And there it is right there. Look, we got Sandman. The Sandman to comment. I'm going to like this and love it. And I'm going to pin it to the top. Look at that. We got him commenting. He's the big MGTOW guy. So there's a lot of people watching this channel. There you go. Pin to the top. So take a look. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep... Oh, by the way, subscribe to this guy's channel. If you're not feeling well when it comes to relationships or uneasy, check this guy out, please. He's really good. I like him very much, and he's got a lot of good information. I've been unsubscribed to his channel like 8 times already. But anyways, I always find him and resubscribe. Vancouver, Sydney, Australia, brain drain. This is from 4 years ago, people. Unaffordable cities equals brain drain. 4 years ago. All these channels are doing this now. Housing prices skyrocket all over the world. That's English-speaking countries. Get out of Vancouver. Housing is ruined. And that's from 4 years ago. And I left Vancouver. I left after a couple of these videos. Vancouver, quiet streets all around. Vancouver housing crisis, homeless solution idea. People forced into homelessness. Rental bidding wars. It keeps going, guys. Food is costing more than my rent 4 years ago. Empty homes, not many homes for Halloween. Housing crisis in Surrey, BC. Housing sales plummet 38%. And that was the foreign investor tax working. But, look, we started to see a 10K per loss per day. Property tax hike. And housing spiking in the lower mainland. So if you're living in the lower mainland, you know what I'm talking about. Housing still spiking, so prices reversed. Prices made a reversal. Mass exodus, young families leaving, brain drain. Housing crisis in Vancouver, emergency alert. Vancouverites abandoning condos. 15% drop in Surrey Langley, and then it popped back up. The dark side of the housing boom. Australia's mortgage prison part 4. They deleted 3, 2, and 1. Part 1 goes back to about 2000, early 2016. January of 2016, the Australian mortgage prison, because we're following the patterns of what's happening in these countries, right? Housing out of control. Toronto and Vancouver homebuyers being punished. And then first-time homebuyer loans, that's when it came into effect. Let's go look at the date on that. So this is, my channel is like an encyclopedia. So I got the article in my hand there. I'm reading it. And it is from, again, December 2016. So all this started to really get out of control was when countries started bidding for wealthy investors. So it keeps going. Housing unaffordability. People talking, sharp correction in real estate. People taking on too much debt. Sorry, I can't see behind the watch. People taking on too much debt. Boom, double-digit loss. Red hot market, Canadian crisis. Again, this is, look, oh my God. So it goes back. So it goes back way, way back to the beginning of this, right? So guys, I'm not just some guy, a fly-by-night, you know. Yes, we need a correction. Yes, whoever that was that said 21% correction. Yes, you're right, but more than 21% because when you look at average wages, you're not anywhere near where it needs to be. So condo real estate prices surge in growth. So this was sent to me first. I did not read it on my channel. And there it is, November 20. Boom, I get the notification. November 23rd, 3 days later. Canadian real estate prices surge in growth, except for condos. Why? Condos were a FOMO ladder. It's more of a FOMO ladder for people to get in as first-time homebuyers and get on the property ladder and feel that they could flip it down the road and make money. But when all the condos are empty and the average wage earners can't even afford to get in with a 50% down home loan from the government, it's not going to fly. It won't work. If first-time homebuyers can get in the market, if you don't get the fresh blood in the market, Merry Christmas, hasta la vista, it's over. Okay, so here it is. So, Canadian real estate saw prices surge across the country, but not in all segments. Canadian Real Estate Association data shows the national index saw price growth speed up in October. A breakdown of the index reveals a different picture, though. Canadian real estate prices rise almost 1% in October. CREA's aggregate index making the large gains across the country. The price of typical home reached $643,000, up 0.78%. This is Canadian real estate benchmark. 643 is pretty high, but you're taking in, remember guys, you're taking in properties that are $2-3 million that should be 400, and then they're bringing up the average price across the board, right? This represents a 10.86% increase compared to the same month last year. That is pretty big, especially when COVID wasn't in the headlines then. Canadian real estate prices, national benchmark price for a typical home. So there you go. So it's still trending, except condos, right? But everything else is trending. So upwards. Single-family homes increased more than 1%. Single-family homes, such as detached units, have seen a price growth accelerate. Again, there's not enough. There's not a lot of supply out there for detached in the detached market, so it's pushing up the cost of buying it, of course, because supply and demand makes perfect sense. Supply and demand is a myth because you're not factoring. My thesis is I believe that supply and demand is a major myth because you're not factoring in the amount of empty homes owned by foreign investors that are not being added on to that. So when you add the empty homes, you create a pie chart factor of it, and you kind of see what I'm talking about. When the empty homes are not put into supply and demand becomes a lie, so to say, right? But it does push up prices, right? Compared at the same month last year at 12.87% higher. So single family homes, so there it is. Canadian real estate price change. So there it is. There's your two spikes right there, your composite and your single family. Apartment condos, again, this is all FOMO. So let's go back to 2016 when you had, when you saw the prices go up. There it is. This is when foreign buyers, so if you go back to that video, right there, right here, this is when the foreign buyers tax jumped in. Right there. Right there. Okay, so let's go back to first-time home buyers loans. Let's go back and see if we can find the video so we can see the date. Investors fleeing in Toronto and Seattle, October 3rd, 2016. Let's go back here. 15% foreign buyers tax, September 24. Okay, we got our number there. So it's September. So September, there it is. That's when everything started. It was going, and then look at it now. You see? If you reference that video to that, there's your spike in Toronto. Well, this is in Canada as a whole, but a lot of it has to do, a lot of this growth came from Toronto. A lot of this growth came from Vancouver. A lot of this drop came from Vancouver, and a lot of this growth came from Vancouver. Once after the 2010 Olympics, right? So everyone sold after the Olympics, and then everyone started buying crazy after the Olympics. Then you got the it leveling off, and then there it goes there. So there it is, real estate price change. We're not looking at supply, we're looking at price, right? So there it is. Condo apartments, on the other hand, are seeing a lot less interest these days. Again, for condos, slipped to 477,000. Guys, people living in the United States, 477,000. This is not an entire condo complex, because you could buy one in the States for a lot less than that. It's not an entire condo complex or an entire apartment complex, like with 4 or 5 stories. It's not this. This is like a 1 unit, 1 bedroom we're talking about here. So if you're watching in the States, that's what it means. It doesn't mean like it doesn't mean that. Because people in the States watch that and say, Mike, 780 for a condo is not that, 780,000. I'm like, no, that's a 1 bedroom. Oh, I thought it was like, so they sent me a link to a low-rise in Chicago, 4-story with 16 dwellings for 230,000. I'm like, no, this is not that. This is not what you're thinking. So there it is right there, guys. So same time last year, that represents a 5.68% increase. Prices have mostly been sliding lower after peaking at the start of the pandemic. So house prices are raising at the national level. However, all segments are not created equal. The trend of the high prices and accelerated price growth is due entirely to detached homes in the index weight. That's very important. We should discuss that again on the channel. Condo apartments, on the other hand, have been slipping since the pandemic. So there it is, guys. Condos, FOMO. People jumped on the FOMO. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you can, guys, please share this video, because I've been really doing this for you guys for so many years now and bringing you guys this information. Because if you look at this and you go back to this graph, everything falls in line for what I was saying, and that was September when prices started to take off. Once the foreign investing started happening in Vancouver, you saw all the major growth in Toronto, and Vancouver's been stagnant since then. Vancouver's gone up, but stagnant. Condos are taking a hit now, and I kind of want to throw this out for you guys, because I like you guys. I like your comments. I like what you guys have to say, and it's been many years doing this, and a lot of channels are doing it now. New channels, that's nice, but you know where you heard it first, guys. I also want to, if you're still watching, I really want you guys to watch last week's Mike in the Night, the Great Reset. You want to watch this. We had a lot of good callers on this show right here. Okay, please watch this show. I promise you, this is going to explain the housing and all the other stuff that we're talking. It aligns with everything in one. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Lots of love. We'll talk soon. Mike Martins here, signing off.